Hello, this is Jill from Paper Daisy Crafting. Thank you for joining me on my video channel today. This is our project. These are the customer thank you cards that will be whizzing out to my customers in July for all their wonderful orders in June. I had loads to make because I had loads of customers in June, which was fantastic. The new catalogue obviously caught everybody's attention and loads of people ordered. So it's really my absolute pleasure to be sending out loads of these cards. I used nearly a whole pack of the Ornate Garden DSP pattern papers, and you can see there's lots and lots of different designs, lots and lots of different patterns, but basically the same design of card. So I hold this one up. This is one of the ones with the gold foil, which you can see, and it I started with the card blank, added a panel of DSP, added a gold die cut, and then stamped and die cut the thank you. So very simple, but we'll just run through what I did in case you feel like you might need to make these. They're very simple to make, and you're going to start off with a piece of card. This is half a sheet, just about half a sheet of A4. It's not quite, because the measurements of A4 don't quite work, but it's 14 and a half centimeters this way by 21 centimeters this way, and I'm going to score at 10 and a half. And if you work in imperial, I have got the imperial measurements here for you. It's 5 3/4 inches by 8 1/4, and you score it at 4 1/2. So I'm scoring mine at 10 and I nearly did it 9 1/2, 10 1/2. Make sure you've got your scoring blade out of the way. Oh no, make sure you've got your cutting blade out of the way and score. That could have been a disaster. So there we are. There's our card blank. I'm going to burnish that in a minute, but just for the moment. And then I'm going to take a piece of designer series paper, which is this lovely one with the gold. This is one of my favourite patterns in the pack. And this needs to be trimmed down. It's going to be a centimetre smaller. So this measures 14 1/2 by 10 1/2. So I'm going to cut my DSP to 13 1/2 by 9 1/2. So this way it needs to be 13 1/2. Now I'll get my scoring blade out of the way, use my cutting blade. So just a little strip to cut off that way. And then this way, it's going to be 9 1/2. So it's just about, it already is 9 1/2. I'll just trim a tiny bit off there, but it was just about 9 1/2 anyway. So the joy of this trimmer, you can trim off tiny little bits. And I think that's all we need the trimmer for today. I'm going to pop that away. And then this, where's my bone folder? So how are you all doing? What's the state of lockdown and quarantine and coronavirus in your areas? Here in the UK, we're slowly coming out of lockdown. Because I've been shielding, because I'm in the vulnerable group, I've hardly been out anywhere. But I know from seeing the telly and things are beginning to open up. So let's hope that very soon we can get back to some sort of normal. I'm not so much worried for me. I can stay home. I can amuse myself. I'm fed up for my kids. One of them works in a restauranty place, a private club, but it's restaurants and bars and things, and they're not really observing any of the safety measures that they should. Nobody's wearing masks. They're not really social distancing. So she's absolutely paranoid that she's going to bring the virus home to me. Which is a big responsibility when you're only 22. So I feel sorry for her, but of course this is really not the right time to be looking for a new job, because there are so many people out of work. Really awful times, very strange. Right, there we are. So we've stuck our panel onto the front of our card. It's Old Olive I'm working with here. Most of them were in Old Olive. I did do, that was mint macaron to match that paper. And a couple of them, one of them, did I only do one in the end? One of them I did in terracotta tile, and then the other one which used that paper, I actually did that on. Or did I only have one on? I thought I had another one of those. Hey ho, must have another one of those somewhere. I don't know what I've done with it. No, don't know where it is. It must be somewhere. Must have left it in the basket. Oh no, that's not it. No, I don't know. Oh, here we go. I knew I had it somewhere. I've got another couple here, so that's the same as that one. And then I did this one, so I still did it on terracotta tile, but I used gold round, and I preferred it with the gold, so they all ended up with gold on them anyway. Right, okay, so next we need this die cut. Now for this I used the Ornate Layers, which go with the Ornate Style stamp set, and I used this one. Very, very pretty ornate little die. And I die cut it with gold foil, and so here it is, and you can see not all the bits have fallen out properly, so I'm just going to take my brush. It's not the easiest of things to do this, so I'm just going to take my brush and a foam pad and I think I worked out it works better this way, and you can see some of them are already coming out, so it does work to a certain extent, but you still end up with a few to poke out manually. It is getting some out. They're particularly loose. So this little brush is a godsend. We now sell it as part of the Take Your Pick tool. So if you're wanting this, you can change the head of your Take the Pick tool to have the little brush. So I think that's all I'm going to get out, unless I just lift it up a bit. Some of these are quite stubborn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cocktail stick, anything will do, and just poke them. And if you loosen them, then you can go from the other side and rub them off. That one's a bit stubborn, doesn't want to go. Hasn't actually cut very well on the back there. Should have put it through again. Hey ho. We will get these out. I didn't do this beforehand because I just wanted to show you with the brush, but maybe I should have. It's not a terribly exciting video, is it? Watching me pick shapes out of a die cut. Nearly there. Yeah, so anyway, we've been very lucky with the weather recently in the UK. So although we've all been locked down and not doing our normal things, we have had some lovely weather. Trouble is, it's been a bit too lovely for some people, and they decided to go to the seaside the other week. So there were crowds of people on Bournemouth Beach. I don't know how people have been behaving in your areas. I know some people in Australia in Melbourne have now been locked down again. I've got a friend who's got a sister in Melbourne who's now in lockdown again, and I guess that will happen. We've got an area of the UK, Leicester, that's been locked down again. Some of these are being really stubborn, sorry, so I've got my tweezers because they can give me a bit more purchase on it. I did say when I did my beginner's toolkit video that tweezers is one of the things. I think I said it anyway, but certainly I wouldn't be anywhere without my tweezers. I find them very useful. Got very sharp points and they're very good. Like I say, with hindsight, I would have gone through and put this through the die cutter. Sometimes with intricate dies, you need a bit more. You need just put it through again just to get it to really cut. And there's just a couple here that really haven't cut very well. So just trying to get those to come out. And I know I look like I'm bending this, but it's gold foil. It will easily bend back into shape when I need it to. Just being very stubborn. Didn't have this problem with any of the others, otherwise I wouldn't have made this card. It would have taken me forever if it had taken me this long to get all these shapes out of them all. I have to try and make my customer thank you cards fairly simple and not too many steps, because if I've got a lot of them to make, it takes me forever. So hopefully they're still gorgeous, but try not to do anything that's too intricate. Right, I think we're getting there. There we go. Doesn't matter if you tear off a bit of the backing, because that's not going to show at all. Right, are we there? I think so. Right, I'm going to smooth that out with my bone folder now. There we go. Oh, just spotted another rogue one there. That's easier to come out though. This side seems to be a lot easier. That side obviously cut. You do find that, and as I've said before, my die cutter is very, very old. I've had it since 2006. It gets used nearly every day. So it's not surprising that it maybe isn't cutting so well in places at the moment. And I can't wait till Stampin' Up release their new one, because I'm going to be first in the queue to buy one. Right, there we go. Right, so before we do anything with that, we need to do some stamping. So we're going to stamp the thank you, and the thank you is from the other set in the Ornate Garden suite. It's from this set, and it's a lovely big thank you. I love it, and I love the font as well. I love everything about it. So I'm going to use this one. Little tip for you when mounting a die like this, it's very easy if you take the stamp and put it on. Can you see that it might not be straight? I've exaggerated that so it looks, but it's a good thing, because it means that sometimes if you wanted a little your sentiment to go around in a die, you can mount in an arch, you can mount it on the pad and it will stamp like that. But I want mine straight and I don't want any kinks in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up on my grid paper, and then I'm going to bring the block to it. So rather than putting the stamp on the block, I'm going to put the block onto the stamp, and that will mean all the little kinks will be ironed out and it will be straight. So need a piece of very vanilla cardstock, which I've got here, and I'm going to stamp in Old Olive ink to match the paper and the cardstock. There we go. And we're just going to stamp, and I'm not worrying about too much about getting it straight because it's going to be die cut. There we go. There's my stamped thank you. And then to cut it, I used, so you can see that they're all layered here. This is the one I used, the one that goes inside that ornate. And I just laid the die on it. I use a little bit of washi tape to secure it in place because I don't want it moving as it goes into the die cutter. So just a little, and if this is too tacky, you can just put it on your clothes and pick up a bit of fluff, and then it'll just be low tack. It will hold it, but it won't tear the cardstock. So, and just put that through your die cutter. And I've got one that I made earlier here ready to put on my card. So just got a few little stray bits here. I don't like things not to be perfect, so I'm just going to finish getting rid of some of this. The gold has come off, but it's left the backing behind a little bit. There we go. So I just wanted to get rid of that. There we go. Right, so this is going to glue onto there, and this is going to glue onto there, but I'm going to use different adhesive. To glue this onto here, I'm going to use double-sided tape, or our tear and tape, because this is not porous. So sometimes it lasts for a little while, but if you want to keep the card for any amount of time, you might find that the glue will deteriorate and it won't stick. So using, now I've got these bits all over the tear and tape. Let's tear that bit off. Put it somewhere, there we go. All the little bits out of the ornate die are sticking to my tear and tape. Right, there we go. And there we go. Right, and then I use my tweezers, as you know, but you can use pokey tool on your take your pick tool. Okay, I did have a take your pick tool, and I gave it away to a friend who wanted to try it, and then she loved it so much, and I just said to keep it. And I keep meaning to order myself another one, and every time I order, as soon as I press the order button, I think, oh, I forgot to order it again. Right, there we go. And then that's just going to mount on there. I think it's beautiful, really lovely. Who wouldn't like to get a thank you card like that? Right, and then we just need a little bit of Tombow. Don't need to worry about gluing the edges because they'll lay quite flat anyway. So you just need to get the glue in the middle there. And try and centre it. So centre it with the same amount of border each side here, and then just centre it top and bottom as well. Oops, moving. There. And if you do get any bits holding up, you can just smooth them down with your bone folder. There. So very, very quick and easy to make, but I love them And I wonder which customer, if you were one of my customers, I wonder which one you will be getting with your thank you package, or which one, hopefully by the time this video goes out, which one you got, because I am hoping to get these sent out fairly, very quickly. So there we go. That's my video for today. Please remember, if you want to buy any of these products, this is the Ornate Garden suite that I'm using. So the stamps, the dies, the papers, all from the Ornate Garden suite. This is Ornate Garden paper. This is Ornate Layers dies. This is Ornate Thanks stamp. The stamp there. So if you want to order, just go down and the link to my shop is there. You can go straight through. Or if I can help at all with anything, please just drop me a message and I'll be happy to help. That's all from me today. Have a lovely day and I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye bye.